Hey everyone, welcome back to another exciting episode of the Inspired Life Vancouver, where on a weekly basis we bring some inspiring locals who are bound to leave you feeling motivated to perhaps follow your dreams. Joining me right now, I'm so excited. I can't believe she was able to come here because she just got married. I'm so excited to welcome award-winning actress Stephanie Bennett, who's been in so many local shows and feature films. You've seen her as this rom-com sweetheart. I love watching you in films. And Stephanie, thank you so much for joining.
Thank you for having me. This is so much fun already.
Yay, congratulations.
Thank you.
You're like beaming and glowing. I love seeing your whole journey with your partner. You know, I feel like through social media, like I've been able to stay in touch through stories and see this romance blossom. And I love, it's like art imitating life imitating art, you know?
Yeah, I mean, in some ways, yeah. Especially since we're both actors, it's kind of funny because we both do these rom-coms and then we marry each other, and we haven't ever worked on a movie together as the romantic leads, so we want to make that happen, but I did break up with him in a movie last year, so that was hilarious, and we were both laughing the whole time because it was just so funny to break up with your husband on TV, but yeah.
That's so cute. So you've had quite a bit of success, Stephanie. Like, I was taking a look at your bio. You started acting in 2010, and in just a decade, your career has just blossomed. You know, from Travelers to Blue Book to iZombie, and then all these amazing Lifetime and Hallmark movies that you're doing. Like, congratulations.
Thank you.
Did you always know you wanted to act, or where did the acting bug come from?
Yeah, and I've been asked this a lot, and it's kind of interesting because I grew up a dancer, specifically in ballet, so I studied at the National Ballet School in the Royal Winnipeg Ballet School through my teens, and like ballet and performing, you know, that obviously I had been doing that my whole life, but my favorite part of dance was always the storytelling aspect. So it was like when we were doing the performances of Coppelia or Nutcracker, there was always characters to play as you're dancing, and that was my favorite part of it, was almost the acting part of dance. And so as I got into my late teens, I realized, I actually think I love acting more than I love dance. And I think that's something I want to do. And of course, this little voice in the back of your head goes, well, it's such a difficult industry. There's no way you could ever do that, you know? And so I kind of just, you know, through 17 to 20, talked myself out of it. And then finally had the courage at 21 years of age to take my first acting class, and then it was instant. I just fell in love, and I basically said to myself, I have no choice. This is what I meant to do. This is the thing that I've always, you know, deep down really wanted to do. And so it took years to actually get my first job and to become successful, but I stuck with it, and I'm really happy I did. So.
And through like social media, I stay up to date, you know.
Yeah.
I can see the joy emanating. Like, I can see how much joy it brings you. I love obviously seeing the costumes you're wearing. I was mentioning earlier, like, you know, some of the few Hallmark and Lifetime movies that you were in, and I was like, oh, that's a great color. She looks so pretty in that. Or there was one where you and your co-star, someone, you guys were like dancing outside in between takes to like, you know, stay warm. But I can tell you're like genuinely like so happy, and you can feel when someone is doing something that is their thing.
Yeah, absolutely. You're right. I mean, how I feel when I'm on set is like I'm at home. You know, when I'm acting, I feel this is what I meant to do, and I'm so lucky to be doing it, because it's not an easy industry.
No.
And you know, my career has been lots of ups and lots of downs, and years where I don't work and years where I work lots. And so when I am working, I'm always just thanking my lucky stars that I'm able to do it, what I love every day, you know? It's huge. So
completely. Now, did you have any like role models growing up, or like any movies that left such an impact on you that you were like, oh my God, like this is acting? Like for me, I know there's certainly like a few movies like Godfather and like, you know, just some movies that you just go into their world. And the depth of emotion and the focus. And I was going to say dance, it probably taught you a lot. It takes a lot of focus, determination, and resilience.
Yep.
So you probably brought that into your craft as an actor. But I want to hear first about like, you know, what movies or actors or actresses impacted you?
I think as a young person, Natalie Portman, because she was so young when she started, and I sort of watched her career, you know, take off, and I was just always so taken by her ability as an actor. And you know, she also, I don't obviously know her personally, but seems like a very hardworking, driven person. And you know, when I watch her in interviews, she's very smart. She went back to school. Like she was somebody that I thought, okay, if I ever do the acting thing, I look up to her. I mean, Meryl Streep, the absolute best actress there ever was, in my opinion. Watching her in just so many different roles and the capability to transform herself, that was always so fascinating and inspiring to me. And yeah, the aspect of getting to live in another person's shoes, getting to experience what they experience through the character, that is what really drew me to acting, is sort of like that behavioral aspect, and learning about somebody as you're kind of walking in their footsteps and telling their story. That was the most the thing that really made me want to act. And yeah, I think mostly Natalie Portman and Meryl Streep, those were kind of my two. But there's so many incredible actresses. I mean, Kate Winslet, Toni Collette is one of my favorite actors. Just
I love Toni and Kate. Like anything that Toni Collette is in, I have to watch. I just have, there's truth to her. And same with Kate. It just like drops down. I almost feel like, obviously don't know them personally. I almost feel like there's no ego and just so much realness.
Yes, and that's, I think, the same for all the actresses that I mentioned. Like you said, no ego. You know, you don't see them acting. They just are. And that's always what I've inspired to do in my work as well. So,
how do you prep for your roles? Like, I'm always curious because obviously Lifetime and the Hallmark rom-com movies, they're a certain way. You have, you know, you're in a great relationship. You just got married. Versus, you know, when you've done like Travelers or Romeo Section, like how do you prep for those roles?
Well, yeah, I mean, it depends a lot on the character and how much I need to research, you know, because when I do these rom-coms, every character is different. They have different jobs, different goals. So, you know, there is a research aspect to it. I just played a journalist, and I don't know anything about being a journalist. So the director, actually, I was very lucky, connected me with one of his friends who was a very successful journalist for the New York Times. So I kind of picked her brain. And so I was able to more accurately play the character because I did that research. So yeah, when I can, I research first and foremost the career that they're doing so that I can have a bit of an understanding of what it's like to kind of live that life. But I bring so much of myself to the rom-coms that I do. I think it's been quite easy for me to prepare for, you know, these Hallmark movies and these rom-coms because I I connect with the character. I know what it's like to be in love. I know what it's like to have a crush. I know what it's like to be rejected. I know what it's like to want something really badly in my career, which a lot of the times these characters are, really driven and motivated and inspiring women. And so I feel like I can connect quite easily. But when it comes to a role like the Romeo section, I thought I was going to have a really difficult time understanding her, and I didn't. And playing these characters that are in darker places or are having mental challenges or emotional challenges or financial challenges, drug problems, things like that. Though I may not be going through that in my life, I understand pain very easily. I understand what it's like to feel lost, what it's like to be, in a bad place, in a dark place. And I think I just take myself there, back to times in my life where I've felt the way that this character is feeling, and though it may not be an exact parallel, I put myself in that place. And I think so much of preparing for a role is empathy as well, and being an empathetic person in my life has been so helpful to preparing for these roles.
That's amazing. It makes me think of the picture that you posted yesterday on your story.
Yeah.
And I can just see in your eyes, you can just see the switch versus the rom-com, the smiley, the bubbly, which I really personally love seeing.
Yeah.
Because especially post-COVID, we need that lightness. We need that happiness. Like
Absolutely.
I want to watch the happy things because I want to forget about what's on the news.
Yeah.
Take me away where people, ride into the sunset together.
Yeah, everything's bright and colorful.
Yeah. Take me into that world.
Yeah.
I want to talk a bit about, you've played like these pivotal roles and led movies and these strong characters, whether it's a dark or a brighter role. Do you feel pressure when you book the job? Like, take me through what goes for you, what goes on inside of your mind when you book something, and is there pressure? Like, how do you deal with that? And then leading up to, going into set, because I've spoken to some people, like Alex Ponowick, he was sitting here, and he talks about, he's like, until I'm there, he's like, until the most recent job, he's like, every time I think I'm going to get fired.
Yeah.
Like, every time.
I get that.
He's like, every time I think that they're like, you picked the wrong person.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think I can connect with him. Amazing actor, by the way. Big fan of Alex Ponowick. But yeah, I can totally understand that. And I think many actors can understand that because it's such a fleeting industry. They have so many choices, right? There's so many people that they can choose from that I think sort of the insecurities in me go, but why did you choose me? You could have gone with this person, and there's just sort of that feeling of never being quite satisfied with my work too. And so I don't watch anything that I do because of that, because I think I pick myself apart. I think I've never once watched myself work and go, that was great. I watch myself and I go, shouldn't have done that, should have said that differently. I don't like the expression on my face. I go through that. And so, yes, I feel so much pressure with every single job because I want to be the absolute best I can be. And I know that my worst critic is myself and that I'll do a scene. And a lot of the times on these movies, you've got only a few takes because we're shooting a movie in like 12 days. So I feel immense pressure, but I think that helps my work ethic tremendously because I know the harder I work, the more prepared I am, the less pressure I'll feel, the less nervous I'll be. So I always take that feeling of pressure as a good thing. I try to turn it into more excitement. and a reason to just work harder and to be more prepared, because I want to be better with every opportunity. And I'm learning to, when I get a job, to go, I earned this, I deserve this, I've worked hard for this, but it's tough, you know? It's tough not to go, why did they choose me? Because I see all these incredible actors and actresses, and I'm like, wow, and I'm just in awe. And then I'm like, but they chose me. You know, like, so there's that feeling of like, oh, okay, I better do a really good job. So yeah, so there's definitely that element to it.
I honestly love seeing your smile on like these movie posters or like the publicity stills, because you can feel when someone is genuinely happy and smiling from their heart.
Yeah.
Or when it's just coming, you know, it's like just acting. And also just seeing, you know, your personal life blossom and the romance and all of that. I want to ask, are you a romantic person?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, maybe not in like the conventional way that these movies, you know, I'm not really, I don't expect some kind of big production on Valentine's Day or any of these things, right? But I love sort of an understated romance, a romance that's spontaneous, you know, unplanned, and appreciating those moments with my partner. Like, yeah, I would say
it doesn't need to be like a bed of roses.
Exactly.
Or like,
I almost don't like that. Like I almost go, ooh,
a huge
it's a little
band
cringe.
and like lights
like,
and fireworks.
Yeah.
Like the simpler. I completely agree. But it's the little things, and it can be something I used to do with one of my exes. Is like leave little notes when he would travel for work. And one time he told me he cried. He's like, oh my God, this is like the sweetest thing.
Yeah,
like,
that is really sweet.
But it's just like a little sticky note, and you know, you just put it in the
simple
things. It doesn't need to be this big thing.
Yeah, and I think like, you know, I also don't think there needs to be a lot of money spent for romance. I think like something so simple like that is real romance. It's not so much a show. It's more the little things that show when you actually love somebody.
Yeah.
You don't need all that.
Completely.
I say this, and then I just had a big wedding last weekend. So like, yes, of course I love that stuff.
But you got married, you know, and your dress was beautiful. Your ring looks stunning.
Thank you.
Is this your nails from your?
Yes, and they're kind of grown out, so nobody's zoom in on my nails.
No, they're so pretty. I
never do my nails unless I'm on a job, or apparently if it's my wedding.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I mean, it's too expensive. It's too much to keep up.
I know.
But I'm enjoying the last of my wedding nails.
Yeah, they look so pretty.
Thank you. You too. Oh my gosh.
Thank you. Well, I have a bridal shower to attend,
right.
So my nails were growing out, and because we've been doing this filming weekly, I was like, okay, with this long tips, you could see the grow out.
I know.
I might as well. I can hide it for so long.
I know. Totally.
So speaking about that, we touched base on this briefly earlier. One of the things I really appreciate about your social media presence is you talk a lot about beauty standards. You've talked about this openly.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm glad we're having these conversations now, but before, the idea of like, you know, the sample size and fitting into, you know, what does the leading lady look like? I remember I was in film school like 10-ish plus years ago, and I won't say who, but one of my teachers said, either you're going to be the leading lady or the best friend. If you're going to be a leading lady, you have to become a certain size, and you have to be very, very tiny. And then if you're going to be the best friend, then you have to give yourself permission to like let yourself go. You're going to be either or.
Makes no sense.
And I found that so bizarre.
Yeah, because you know what? We're all main characters in our own lives.
Thank you.
So,
yeah.
You know, and it kind of annoys me hearing that, because, yeah, we are all the leading people.
Amen.
Right?
Yeah.
Everyone is a leading character in their own life, and we all look different and we act different. We're different ethnicities, we're different backgrounds, different financial levels, different sizes, right? And yes, okay, in some ways I definitely do fit, I guess, what that conventional mold would be, but I'm so tired of feeling that pressure to be like mostly a certain size. That's not something anyone should ever feel. We should be able to be fully ourselves and accepted. And yeah, we're all leading characters. Mm-hmm. And that the idea of the best friend, you know, I love when supporting characters, and I'm seeing more of this, have their own really interesting storylines. Because though you may not be the lead of the movie, like, people want to know those stories. They do. And I just did a Hallmark movie called Wedding Season. Yes, I'm plugging it because I'm really proud of it. But one of the things I loved so much about that movie was the supporting characters had really beautiful storylines and they were interesting, and as a viewer you care just as much about their stories as you do my co-star's story. So
it's changing slowly, but
changing.
You know, I'm glad we're having these conversations. But I personally feel like even for me, you know, I was mentioning earlier, I'll be 41 in 2 months, and me and Tiara, my co-producer, we've had this conversation often. I feel that pressure, the age thing, and for a long time, I wondered, like, do I want to talk about my age? Because then people have an idea of like what someone at that age should be,
right?
Exactly.
It's the shoulds.
What their life should be, where they should be at, or like how they should be acting and what they should be wearing. And I've gone through this personal journey, to be honest, over the last few years, the last 2 or 3 years, of like a little bit of a I'm not going to swear, but like a little bit of a, I have to let this go. You know, I have to have this screw it moment of, I'm going to wear whatever I want to wear.
Yes.
If I want to wear denim shorts, I will, you know, I will just wear, because sometimes there is this idea of like, okay, this is what a 40-something dress is like.
And I love that you said that, because I actually just thought about this the other day. I was on TikTok, which I've just started looking at, and there's some really interesting stuff on there. So I thought, I look on there a lot, and I follow sort of these body positivity accounts, and the opposite came up. There was a video of a woman, looks like she's in her 30s, and she was doing something like, elegant, not elegant. Woman in her 30s, yes or no? This is what you wear, this is what you don't wear. And she said something like, you know, it really bothered me. I was very triggered by it, because she said, if you're wearing crop tops and denim shorts in your 30s and 40s, then you're trashy, you're not elegant, dress your age. And I'm like, I looked down and I was wearing a crop top and denim shorts because I was at the beach, first of all. And like, I shouldn't have to justify that. I can wear whatever I want until I'm whatever age. And it doesn't make you any less respectable, any less elegant, you know? And sometimes I do dress in I guess, what conventionally people would think is elegant or classy, but sometimes I don't.
We have different sides to it. Yes, completely.
And like, for me, it's like those shoulds really bother me. Yeah. Because we are all going through our own journey, and we all have different timing. And so I catch myself feeling, oh my gosh, I'm behind in this element of my life because I don't own a home, and I'm in my 30s, and I don't have consistent income because I've chosen to do what I love. And that's what comes with that. It's a different lifestyle than my friends from high school or most of the people that I see at the supermarket, you know? But I love that lifestyle.
And you're living, and you have the courage to do something you truly love. Because I don't think many people can say that. And I completely agree. It is definitely a privilege. I'm speaking for myself. I'm not born in this country. I was born in Pakistan. Moved to Canada at 17, did high school here for a year and a bit. Definitely struggled because there, what was considered cool was like a very studious person. So I was in the debate team. I was like, you know, the teacher's pet. Like my friends were teachers. Like I was that kind of student, you know? And here it's like the girls who were drinking and partying and doing you know, and
Yeah.
and I didn't in high school, and then later on I did, but the idea of like, you know, I have personally struggled with this quite a bit, also being a business owner
Yeah.
and having like a consulting practice in my early 30s. And I feel like I would put this act on, like I would put a blazer on and I would walk like this, and I'm like a grown up, you know, like
Yes.
I'm being the grown up right now. Versus I think what's coming with age, and to be honest, since it's like the last 365 days, because I'll be 41 in August, so in like in almost like less than 2 months, I've gone through this thing of like, here, you know, it's like when people want to work with me, they're picking me as I am. Like, of course, in the right occasion, I'm gonna wear my blazer and do that,
Right.
but I don't need to overdo it. And yet, before, Stephanie, I wouldn't even post anything of me looking casual on any social media because I didn't want any of my clients or anyone to be like those same things. Like, thinking,
she's not professional or something. It's like it doesn't take away from you being professional or have, you know, your stuff together or motivated or successful or any of those things. And yeah, it's very refreshing to think about giving yourself permission to just be, you know, like for example, I was walking down the street to come here today. I don't wear this on an everyday basis, okay?
You look beautiful.
Catch me in sweatpants and a t-shirt every single day of my life, okay? Because I choose comfort. And I put on a dress today and I'm like, I feel like a grown-up. Which is like, you said that, you know? But it's like, no, I'm a grown-up every day. It's okay.
Yeah, you're
it's
paying your bills. You got married.
Right. I have it
your
together,
rent.
right?
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, it's fitting that weird idea, and so much more women than men feel that pressure.
100%. It's interesting. I was telling Tiara, so I take time off of dating, and over the weekend I went on like a few dates, and this one person I was having a conversation with, and they're in our industry. I'm not going to say what they do, but they have like a structured job in the industry.
Right.
And it scared them so much. You know, the free bird, because we're independent contractors, right?
Yeah.
Like, we're consulting, we're doing social media work, we're doing this. And I'm like, wow, we're in 2023. And it's like, and that seemed to become such a focal point of our whole date.
Oh, interesting.
I knew in the beginning that it wasn't a vibe, but I'm not the person who's just gonna leave. Like, I always enjoy meeting people.
Enjoy the company. You know.
But I found that so fascinating of what you were saying, like, you know, friends from high school, or like, you know, to have a home and these things. And I go through those things too, honey. Like, I completely go through those things. And then to be like, you know what, this is my place, my home, and you know, I'm doing this. And which leads me to, how do you do self-care? Because when you're so public facing, you know, when cameras are rolling, you're filmed, you have costume fittings, you're doing movie after movie, you're, you know, we won't talk about that project, but you're saying you're going to be traveling for a project soon.
Yeah.
You're finishing one, going to the next.
Yeah.
What are you doing for self-care?
I mean, a lot of different things.
By self-care, I also don't just mean physical, but I mean like...
Yeah, mental, emotional. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I love just being at home. I love downtime. I love watching a movie and making dinner and chilling with my husband and chilling with my dog and going for dog walks. Being in nature is very therapeutic for me. And I get so caught up in the day-to-day that I find that I don't set enough time apart to like go on a hike or go for a long walk, because I'm always thinking, what do I have to do today? And so taking time to actually do things that maybe aren't productive, I'm not accomplishing a goal or a task, but I know are going to be good for my soul and good for my brain and my heart. I think nature is a huge thing, and just putting the phone away, like putting the phone away. And I struggle with that because it's almost like this addiction of needing to know what's going on all the time. But that's a huge thing, and not being hooked up to any kind of electronic. just sitting, just like sitting and not thinking about what I have to do or what, and just letting my mind wander. Meditation is super important too. Oh, hi. Did you have a nap?
Yeah.
That was a big stretch. Yeah, speaking of dogs, he must have heard the dog thing
Yeah.
because I have a dog at home and she's a huge part of my mental wellness, and just like chilling at home is a big one. I love to cook. And yeah, I think that, setting time apart to just be quiet. Which I have to do more of.
Yeah.
Like I
say yeah, as in like for me today,
Yeah.
today is the first time before we started rolling I actually sat on the couch on your side, and I was like, I'm just gonna sit here and I'm gonna close my eyes and breathe.
Yeah.
And taking that moment to get connected in here, because the more that I'm in my heart, the more the other person can also feel more comfortable, because
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm more speaking my truth instead of thinking of, because when you're hosting, it's not like acting, but it is kind of, because you have to be engaging, yet at the same time open and create this space of trust, so the other person feels comfortable that what they're going to share, in the end, I want you to have a great experience, yet at the same time share you.
Yes.
One thing that came to me, so I'll speak for myself personally. When I was younger and coming from a modeling background, and I don't know if it was like this for you in dance, because I don't really have any dance background. I love to dance though. The putting, it's like looking at the bodies and like, okay, the tall one and this one and that one. There's this inherent sense of competition. I was having this conversation with a friend of mine who is a producer, and she's worked on a lot of projects, and we're both in our 40s, and talking about how we had that, and we've kind of, on the other side, that it's been a journey for me, like for me to say that, okay, just like that, it went away. But I've noticed that over the last several years of becoming like such a fan of women who are doing great work and succeeding, and then kind of going, and any time when a little voice may start to be like, oh, I wish I had that, and I'm like, yes, well, at the same time, I'm going to give her a high five, or I'm going to leave a little comment and be like, that is so cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Instead of just, keeping quiet. Because I think, I used to teach yoga, this may sound kind of woo-woo, I feel like whatever we acknowledge in someone else, that hey, you're so talented, you're so brilliant, look at you're doing this, versus just keeping it to myself, it's almost like I'm saying to the universe, that is kind of how I want to be. Instead, so how, being an actor and the amount of work that you've done a lot of work, you're just working, I see your social media, I'm like, you're just working non-stop, you're so in demand, like knock on wood, you're so in demand right now. How do you like deal with like knowing if you go in, for example, whether it's a Zoom callback or an in-person callback, how do you deal with that when you go into a room and you see other people who kind of sort of look like you're not? Like, what is your journey with that like?
That's a huge struggle for me. I touched on this earlier, but I do compare myself a lot. Like the whole, oh, why am I getting this and not this person who I think is so much better for it, Because you don't know. Maybe they're looking at you like that. And I think, like you said, it's so important for that reason. If you admire somebody or you're like, wow, you're incredible. Like yourself, I admire you. So I look at you and I'm like, whoa, right? She's doing all the stuff. Look at her go. She's so beautiful. She's so this and that, charismatic, seems so effortlessly interesting, And I do think it's important for us to tell each other these
and build
things.
each other up. And it's the
not,
same.
It's not weird.
No.
It's okay to be like, hey, you're really amazing.
Yeah.
And it's not jealousy. It's admiration.
Completely.
And it's like, oh my gosh, when I was younger, I'll admit, I had jealousy problems when I was comparing myself to women who would get a role over me. And now, and I would almost look at somebody who, you know, is maybe more successful and go, yeah, well, I have this over her, so it doesn't matter. And then it's like, you don't have to have something over her. You can just admire it. It's okay. And now I look at people who are more successful, you know, whatever, or seem more at peace, or have elements of their life that I want, and I look at it and I go, maybe I'll work on getting there. You know, maybe I'll work on having more of that, or wow, it's okay to just look as an outsider and appreciate and admire where that person's at. You know, and it can go across the genders, you know, like I look at my husband and he gets up for the gym every single morning. He has a routine. He gets out of bed no matter how tired he is. I don't do that. I do not do that. Okay. If I have a bad night's sleep, you better believe I'm sleeping in. I'm not going to the gym that morning. I admire that. I'm like, wow, that's amazing that you do that. I would love to get to a place where I can do that. You know, and so as opposed to being like, oh, yeah, well, good for you, you know, for getting up and going to the gym every day. It's like, huh, that's impressive.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's that little
switch.
Yeah, and
as you get older, I think you learn to switch it into more of like, you're reframing that.
Completely, 100%. It's like, even when I see people who are doing what I'm doing or not doing, especially with other women, I think it's been one of my personal things that has switched over time, and I'm so grateful for. And I think I used to pray for this switch to come, because I think in our industry more than anything, like it can be something that can keep you like separate, versus if you see something someone has, just speak it out.
Yeah.
Because I think when we keep it inside of us, like to see your career and to see someone in their happiness, like really shining, I'm like, wow, you're really living. I remember when we were neighbors, you were like literally across the street from me. We would run into each other all the time. And then I moved to Paris, and like coming back and just seeing you, and I'm like, yeah, like when you posted, you're like, a photographer, I need this, and you need someone to help with the Scottish accent. I'm like, yeah, if I know someone, I will help.
Yeah.
Even if I haven't seen you in a million years.
Yeah.
But me 20 years ago, I don't think I was like that.
Right.
You know, so it's been a journey, and I know it can be an uncomfortable conversation to have, but I think it's a good one to have to create that sisterhood vibe. Because I think of like, okay, when I'm 50, how do I want to be, you know?
Yeah.
Like I want to be this like warm woman, lady, emanating this warmth who's like helping other women, or do I want to be like, no, I'm just going to keep to myself over here in the corner.
And with this whole age aspect too, right? Like, you're not young and hot forever. Like, you're going to get to a point where you're going to look at I'm going to look at younger women and go, oh, what it was like to look like that, you know? But instead of like this jealousy, it's like a celebration. And I'm still working on that. I can still improve, because I look at sometimes women in their early 20s and I'm like, oh, wow, you're so young. You've got your whole life ahead of you. What I would do to like go back and change this or that, you know? And instead of just going like, good for you, look at you going, you know, you're 22 or whatever. You're going to the Taylor Swift concert or whatever, you know, like, it's just like, I almost look at it and I go like, oh, live it up. Like, good for you, you know? And then I look at, like you were saying, women in their 50s who are so just comfortable in who they are and in their, you know, whatever changes are happening to them physically. And you can see the difference between somebody who is still obsessing over their appearance, which it's inevitable. You're going to age, you know, all these things, all these pressures
are gonna fall
that we feel, right? And like instead of looking at those wrinkles and going, oh, it's like looking at those wrinkles and it's like, I'm getting older. Yeah. I'm still here.
Yeah.
And like, obviously easier said than done because I catch myself.
And that you smiled, you know, because these wrinkles here, because like I look at photos and I'll be trying to take a selfie and I was like, oh, look at this. But at least you're smiling. You're happy. Yeah. I'm speaking to myself because I'm the same, honey. I'm like and the same.
Like, don't get me wrong. I look at myself and I'm like, what can I change? Like, oh, I don't like this and this and this. And then it's like I said, it's so much about just trying to reframe my mind and like looking at things rather in a different way and hopefully get to a point, you know, when I'm older where I can just go, I am the way that I am and it's amazing.
And I see, you know, and it's so fascinating that sometimes it takes someone else to, because obviously the way other people look at us will be so much more different, you know, like when I see, like sometimes I just see your videos or your content, I'm like, she's so happy. Like she's so naturally just genuinely happy. And I can tell you're not faking it because I also know people who are like, and I've also been there where it's just like, and inside I'm going through a heartbreak and my heart is like crying. Yeah. But I can, when I see your stuff, I'm like, she's happy and I like seeing that because it kind of makes me a bit happy and I'm like, I want to bring more of that. Yeah. Versus before, I think when I was in my 20s or early 30s, I'd be like, why is she happy? You know, why am I not like that? Versus like, I want some of that.
But here's the thing. I'm not happy all the time.
Yeah.
Right? I only post when I'm in a good mood.
Completely.
And then I have those days where I'm like, I can't get out of bed because I struggle with mental illness. And you don't know. People don't know. Yeah. They look at me, oh, what a charmed life. And yes, I have a charmed life. Very charmed life. I'm extremely lucky. I'm extremely privileged. I had a wonderful upbringing. I have an amazing husband. I have, you know, a job. I have a roof over my head. I have food on the table. Yes, I have a charmed life. But that doesn't take away from the fact that I literally have days where I can't move because I struggle so much with my depression. And I'll say it openly because mental illness is very real. And I share that as much as I can on my social media without getting like really dark. But like, you don't see the days when people are struggling. Yes, I'm happy, but you don't see the days when I'm not happy. So it's nice, social media. It's nice. You can see people in their best moments, but you have to remind yourself, like, you know, it's not always that way.
Completely. And thank you so much for sharing that. I really appreciate your honesty in that. And I like love, you know, everything that you talk about, beauty standards and body issues and the idea of like what is beautiful. And this, you know, even for me on this show, I haven't super shared on my social media, a little bit here and there. But talking my decision to like stop drinking and you know, I'm coming up to like 9 years without, you know, taking anything that takes me out of my
congratulations.
Consciousness. But it was a big thing of like social awkwardness, anxiety, and then the idea of like, you know, what we see in commercials and movies of that I always need to be like on, you know, that always like happy and wake up and like, you know, like super like
that's exhausting.
Yes. Yeah.
And like also surrounding yourself with people who allow you to just be, because I'm not going to obviously mention their names, but I used to be friends with a group of women, and I felt this pressure every single time I hung out with them to be like, hi, oh my gosh, I'm so happy to be here. And inside I'd be like, I just had the worst day. Wouldn't it be nice to hang out with friends who I don't need to be?
Act on.
I don't have to, and like, you can just exist, right? Like, you can sit on the couch and just exist. And I have friends now because I'm no longer friends with these people. They actually just stopped including me to things because apparently I was too depressed, I was too sad, I was bringing them down. And so I went through this period of time where like I didn't have friends, and that was really hard. But I found all these new friends now, all these people, and a partner who just lets me be who I am, you know? Like, you don't have to be alone on those days that are sad and hard. You can still, when you find the right people who let you exist as you are and don't expect that from you, because it's so exhausting.
Completely. And to be honest, Stephanie, I've struggled with this.
Yeah.
And it's taken me time, like till now, to pick up the phone and to be like, I'm going through it. And on the outside or social media, it looks like a part of me judges myself when I'm also feeling like that.
Yeah.
Because, and then I have to preface, I'm like, I know I'm grateful, but I'm feeling lonely, or I'm feeling XYZ feelings. And then to have my friend but I didn't have that before.
Yeah.
And that can be such a lonely feeling. And I'm so grateful that with COVID and since then, we've all been talking more about mental health and showing up as like the real us. Like I'll even share, like even filming our show, like sometimes at the end of the day, because we like to have like a full day of filming.
Right.
And at the end of the day, it can sometimes be challenging for me when everyone leaves at once.
Yeah.
So now, like my co-producer Tiara, she sticks around. We make some, hang or take some pictures and videos and stuff, because then when she leaves, it's like little by little.
Yeah.
And
it's gradual.
Completely. Instead of like everyone, you've had all this social interaction, and then boom, and I'm here, obviously with Loki, my dog. And then those feelings come up, and like I was speaking to someone, and they were like, yes, Zara, like rock stars and actors go through this.
Yeah.
Comedians go through this because you have this performance rush, this performance natural high, and then this place of like, okay, you're just here because you've given a lot of energy out. There's been a lot of energetic output.
Yes. And like,
how is that for you after you finish doing films? Because I have a few friends who
hard.
I know struggle quite a bit, and one who even said that they were catatonic after doing a project.
Well, because especially when you're on set, like I do have to be on, and like you're constantly talking. There's stimulation from every angle, right? Like there's a person who's micing me. There's a person who's talking to me about the script. There's this actor. It's hi, hello, I'm here. And I love working, but I get back to a lot of the time my hotel because I'm on location a lot. And it's weird because you get back to your hotel room and it's just quiet. And then it's just you. And it's like, because that's when that depression and mental illness can creep in. And then you feel this pressure of like, I need to still be really happy. Why am I not super happy? And I always go through a few days after filming a project, specifically when the project ends, where I kind of like mourn the loss of that character, or I mourn the loss of like the project. And now, especially for us, I'm unemployed again. When's my next job gonna be? Like there's that fear, and then like I just kind of let myself be a little sad if I have to be, and that's okay. And I think like you were saying, and like that's so wonderful that you don't have, that you don't take drugs or alcohol or anything. And I'm working on that because I have this feeling of like, I need to still be fulfilled and full and happy and energetic. So I need to like have some caffeine, or I want to have a glass of wine, or I want to like,
drink coffee.
You know what I'm, no, I drink coffee. Okay. I love coffee. I'll never give that up. But like, sitting in sobriety, that's not easy. And like, I commend you because, and I have friends who are sober, and like, that's not easy because you're just sitting with yourself and you're just sitting with like that feeling of sometimes being completely uncomfortable. And there's a beauty in that. There's a total beauty in that. So that's really cool.
There have been many awkward dates,
Oh.
many awkward
I can imagine.
first time encounters, and like, because there's
like,
all this energy, and I'm like,
yeah.
I'm like, why am I nervous? Why am I like shaking? But it's just energy that needs to move through your body, and it's taken me time.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm still a work in progress.
We all are, like, but how cool that you're sitting in that sobriety and every feeling, you know, that moves through you, like you said, and you're sitting in that and you're going through it. And that's like, I mean, that's really cool.
Thank you. Definitely has built my character. And
Yeah,
you know, and like
absolutely.
getting to like the feelings, because I felt there were a lot of things uncomfortable feelings that I didn't want to feel before, and like unearthing, you know, some stuff that I needed to work through. And it's definitely been a lot of like growth for me, and I'm grateful several people have come on the show and shared their journeys, and now I'm wanting to share little by little, like part of mine too. Do you do like affirmations, like meditation, like do you read books, like what do you do to like center yourself or get in your heart, like whether while on location filming, because you're getting this project which is going to take you out of town, away from your partner and your doggy.
It's challenging.
Like, what do you do things to be like, other than bringing your favorite things from home, to like come back here, grounding and centering yourself?
You know, that's a good question, because that's something I need to work on. Like I want to like watch RuPaul's Drag Race at the end of the day, and I want to like immediately go to the electronics, like go on Instagram, go on my phone, and like I am actually in a transition phase right now of working on like healthy habits like that, and creating a routine for myself to like meditate every day, read so many pages every day, do things that are going to be, like we were talking about earlier, center you and aren't, you know, social media, and aren't electronic, with the exception of like, I think music is a really powerful tool, and that's something that I've been turning to a lot, is classical music. It puts me in a good space. So yes, that's electronic technically, but
well, we can't put down electronics so much, because
we're literally
no, because you also met your partner.
Yes.
Yeah, we can.
I'm not gonna put it down too much. If Instagram didn't exist, because we met through Instagram, like, you know, modern day love story.
I love it. That's a movie. You need to write that.
Oh, hey,
honestly.
I mean, that's an idea. It could be actually a kind of a cool premise. Like all these different storylines of like the modern day, because oh my gosh, wouldn't we all love to like meet the person in this like serendipitous situation where you're like at the grocery store and you knock over the oranges and then he helps you like I do in the movies. Like literally.
You know how many times I've gone to, I change an outfit and I'm like, is this my grocery store?
Is this my main character moment? Am I going to meet the guy of my dreams in this outfit today, or am I going to be in my sweatpants? Because like I was never prepared for that, and like of course you like dream about that and you watch the movies, and then like, you know, my partner slipped into my DMs and that's how we met, you know. Like,
I love it.
But it's like, it's fun, it's cool. I love that that's a way for people to meet now. There's wonderful people that I've met, friends that I've met through like social media and stuff that I never would have crossed paths with. So it is a good thing in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
But it does tempt me to like go into that comparing mindset that like we were talking about. That's something I need to work on. So I'm circling back to what your question on like how do I ground myself. I'm working on that exact thing right now. And physical activity is huge. I love walking. I walk everywhere. So like getting out and doing something physical, doing stretches, moving my body. I'm a graphic designer as well. So a lot of...
So talented, like dancer.
Thank you. You're very sweet.
And I saw some of your graphic design work when you were even studying, and there was some lighting, like light fixtures type of stuff. Like you created some
neon.
Like,
I was doing, an ex-partner of mine owns a neon company, so I was designing. That was a really cool opportunity for him for a while. But yeah, so it's still a new skill. I'm still growing that business. I'm only a couple years in, but like I was saying, I mean, so much of it is sitting at a desk and like getting up every couple hours and going for a nice long walk and getting fresh air and like leaving the phone at home, like I was saying, that is like the key for me.
I love that.
Yeah. So.
Even though I know we've touched this on this topic a lot, but what inspires you in life? I feel like I get it, but based on a lot of things you've shared, but because the show is Inspired Life Vancouver, so I'd love to hear where people draw inspiration from.
Yeah, I mean, so many different things, but I mean, creatively, I have been giving myself, like, taking mental notes of like finding things every day that I think are beautiful that are might otherwise be mundane, like if it's a flower or if it's nature is huge for me in terms of being inspired, but also like people like yourself. I'm very inspired by women. I really am. And it's funny because you're like, oh, you're so talented. I look at other people and I'm like, wow, that's so inspiring. So, like, I mean, I meet people all the time through this industry that really inspire me. But also just taking note of things every day when I'm walking, because I walk so much. Just looking around, and if it's a piece of art, or if it's like when I came in today and I'm like, wow, I love all these like beautiful ornate things you have in here. Like, that's inspiring in some way, right? It's something beautiful.
Thank you.
So I'm like, oh, I kind of want to put more of that in like my apartment, like I guess that's a form of inspiration.
We all inspire each other.
So yeah, I mean, I think it's just like finding those moments of appreciation as you walk around, finding moments of beauty, things that that you can walk past and not notice, or you can stop and go, wow, beautiful. Yeah. Like that. I'm trying to do more of that.
I love that.
Yeah.
Like keeping your eyes open, like whether it's the cloud formation or trees. And I find since having a dog, he slows me down, like when I walk him. And if I get this whiff of like fresh blooms, I will like stop.
Yeah.
I didn't used to do that when I was in my 20s, versus now I'm like, okay, he's peeing, I'm going to sniff the flower.
Yeah. What else am I going to do while I stand here? Like, dogs are great for that. Animals are great for that too. Like they force us to just kind of take a step back.
Completely.
Yeah.
Is there a particular spot in Vancouver that you like to get to, whether it's a coffee shop or a gallery or a trail or hike or whatever, that that you're like, I love going there? That's your spot.
I mean, so my husband and I met on the North Shore at the shipyards. That's a magical place for us. That would probably be like my favorite place in Vancouver.
You guys got married there too.
We got married there too, both times. I know that sounds weird. I've only been married once, but my first and second wedding to the same person happened at the shipyards. And like, there's something about like that Lower Lonsdale on the water, the pier going out. Like, it's just so stunning to me, and the vibe that I feel when I'm there. That's my favorite, I think. But also the North Shore in general, so many hikes, right? Like Lynn Valley, and like you were saying, like I would always take that for granted when I was younger. And I'm like, wow, this is so stunning.
Yeah.
The fresh air here too, we have such clean, fresh air in Vancouver. We are so lucky.
I feel like until we've lived somewhere else and then come back, like honestly, I don't think I appreciated Vancouver as much as I do now.
Yeah.
Because I lived in Paris and I traveled to Africa and Asia and many different European countries. And the safety I feel here.
Yes. Huge.
How clean it is. The clean air. Like mountains. It is natural
green,
beauty.
lush, right? Like, yes, it rains every single day. But you can't complain about the rain if we're going to enjoy the green, right?
Completely.
So, yeah. We're lucky to be here and to have so many places that we can like draw inspiration from.
And it's like the natural beauty.
Yeah.
And it's funny, like before when I was younger, I still love beautiful architecture, but I think there's something so grounding about the natural beauty. You know, and I think COVID taught us that, like when
big
we were
time.
just in our apartments, like small spaces, that when you get outdoors and breathe the fresh air, and we're so blessed. Stephanie, this was so lovely. Thank you for taking your time. I feel like you brought in such beautiful energy, and I'm so happy for you. Between, like, you know, you're definitely living this full life, and it takes a lot of courage to follow your path and your heart's desire, and you found success as an actor, as a creative being, you know, first in dance, acting, and then graphic design, meeting your partner, and then continuing to go, and then being on this inner journey. And I'm so glad that we get to witness it. Thank you for taking the time to sit down with us.
This was so great. Like, this was so wonderful, and it was so wonderful to talk to you, and thank you for having me.
My pleasure. Thank you so much.